Hello and welcome back to a brand new COD Mobile video. Today we are going to be talking about a brand new series. We're going to be starting a brand new series on the channel I like to call Road to Legendary. Now I know a lot of people are probably going to have these sorts of series, especially people like me that started out with global release and not, a long time before that, because those people, they're already pros, they're already getting sponsor offers, they're already getting, contracts and things like that to esports organizations. Obviously, I'm not quite there yet. And do I ever really think I'm going to be? No, probably not. Let's be honest. I'm probably not going to be a contracted pro player. I might be a content creator for someone, but I'm definitely not going to be good enough to be a pro. With that said, I would still like to get legendary. I want that cool little avatar border that they do give out for getting legendary in multiplayer. I'm not so focused on BR at all because I have a lot of issues with BR. That's an entirely different video though, so keep an eye out for that. But basically, I just want to sort of go over my daily routine, my daily, do I want to use this class or that class? Am I unlocking something new? Is there some reason why I'm progressing faster now? And today was definitely a really interesting one. See, I've been using the AK-47 for a few days now because I feel like it's probably going to be the better option as far as just long range and short range damage is concerned. Sort of this nice middle ground before I do unlock some of the guns later on in the game. Once I get to rank 60, or I think it's like rank 117 or something for the Type 25. The ones that basically people are using in mass in high ranked PvP, legendary status, things like that. They're probably not going to be using the guns that I have access to for the most part. Some people do like using the MSMC and the PDW. I've seen that at legendary, but otherwise, people largely seem to use guns that are sort of outside my reach as far as my level is concerned. So I'm trying to find the best early game gun right now, and I have to settle on a few different ones. The first one, again, that I've been using for a few days is the AK-47, and while I definitely think that it's really solid, I think that actually going to mantle, going to aim down scope, I think is probably going to be the one thing that sets it into the more negative, into the con panel, where you probably aren't going to be using it in too high ranked matches because it just takes too long to get it into the scoped position. It really does. And obviously anything being hip fired is not going to be very accurate. So, close range, you might do a lot of damage because you have a very high damage output with it, but otherwise it's going to be really difficult to use the AK in a successful way if you're not just a ridiculously good pro player, and if you don't have a total, fixation on every single thing that's happening around you so you can immediately react to it. If you're one of the best of the best, obviously your reaction time is going to be top notch, and that means that you can probably use weapons that average players like me maybe can't pull off as well. So in this case, I found myself starting to kind of stagnate around Elite 1. I actually relegated once. I mentioned that in yesterday's video, and it really didn't go over very well once I hit Elite 1. People started to sort of realize what they were doing, and I was getting absolutely destroyed occasionally. And sometimes I'd carry, but most of the time, more often than not, I was kind of getting decimated because people would just be able to have their weapon scoped immediately before I could actually react to it properly. So I'd be immediately, trying to get into scope, and they'd already be scoped shooting at me, and obviously they're going to win most of the firefights if they have any accuracy at all in that situation. And obviously, again, I need to work on my tracking. I need to work on figuring out the best loadouts and things like that. And there are videos that I definitely have appreciated from Hawk and from Ferg in particular that really have helped me out with not only sensitivity but loadout and things like that. So definitely check them out. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you've already heard of them, but definitely check out their videos on sensitivity and on loadouts because they're really, really solid. But with that said, I again haven't unlocked everything yet, so I'm kind of working on figuring out what the best options are right now, and I think I actually have settled more on the PDW as of late than anything else. The damage output is ridiculous. The mantling is extremely fast. I mean, all in all, aiming down scope is actually very accurate too, which is something I guess I didn't really expect. Obviously, the recoil is pretty significant, but when you have a stock on, you have your front grip and everything, like it's going to be relatively usable from a decently long range, a mid to long range, even though obviously again you're gonna get destroyed by snipers in a 1v1 situation 99% of the time, but a good chunk of the time, if you're going up against a mid to long range weapon that isn't a sniper rifle, you will be able to take down your opponent with the PDW, which is actually really, really cool because people aren't at that legendary level in elite. Obviously, I think that kind of goes without saying, and you can take full advantage of that because you're going to be able to take out people in 1v1 scenarios where you shouldn't really be able to take people out in most cases, especially not somebody that totally knows what they're doing and has their muscle memory just figured out and down. Now, over the course of my playing today, guys, I actually went from Elite 1 to mid Elite 2. I'm almost at midway through, like halfway through Elite 2 at this point, and I feel like that's a pretty significant improvement from the past day or two because I really have been struggling to even stay in Elite 1, and I changed up my sensitivities, I changed up my loadouts a little bit, and I feel like I've been doing a lot better, even though I haven't been score streaking really significantly and really consistently like I was obviously against bots and things like that. It definitely is not going as badly as it was, and I feel like you guys can probably see some of my improvements over the past day or two. If you guys want to know specifically, like in reference to like my previous videos, what I've changed about sensitivity, I changed my sniper scope sensitivity and I changed my just normal red dot sensitivity, so my normal scoped sensitivity, and it really has made a huge difference lowering that a decent amount. And again, Hawk made a fantastic video on this, so I just definitely recommend checking out his sensitivity video. It really is just god tier, and it definitely, I did some quick math, I figured everything out how he suggested it, and everything is so much smoother. I feel like I'm better at aiming. You know, I pre-aim obviously without scoping, and then I scope immediately as fast as I can. You guys are seeing that, and then your movements don't affect, you know, how, I guess your movements with your finger don't affect your movements in the game as much because you've turned down the sensitivity, and that actually is perfect. I've got it to the perfect multiplier, and it really was totally because of Hawk's video on sensitivity. It's the most in-depth video on sensitivity I've seen. It talks about, you know, Counter-Strike pros, which again, sensitivity with them is going to be pretty much the most significant in really any FPS, because it goes all the way back to Source until now, and those pros, you know, again, they're examples of being good at the game, like just far exceeds pretty much every other arcade shooter in the game, in the genre, you know what I mean? Like it's ridiculous. So yeah, definitely recommend checking that video out because it really helped me out along the way, and I feel like I'm doing a lot better, albeit not amazing now because of it. So where are we going next? Well, I unlocked my perfect loadout as far as SMGs are concerned, I think, but I definitely don't have, you know, the Type 25. I don't have a couple of the other weapons that I'd like to have access to, so I'm still probably going to be rushing with PDW for right now. I really need to improve at sniping. I actually just can't seem to do it. I think it's because of the way I have my overall controls set up, and I probably could get better with that because I currently only use a 3-finger setup, you know, a pointer finger and a thumb. Pointer finger to move around the screen constantly. You guys are seeing that. I always have my pointer finger on the screen, and then I use my thumb to fire, or, you know, to crouch or to jump or anything like that. And that's why sometimes I kind of miss those buttons. I probably could rearrange those buttons and then train my muscle memory to be a lot better and more consistent about that. And then on my left hand, I'm only using my thumb, and that's probably not optimal or even close to optimal. I probably should be using at least my pointer finger, if not, you know, my middle finger, and doing, you know, the sort of claw setup that you see a lot of pros, you know, because obviously the pro scene isn't totally established yet, but the people at the top of the ranks right now, the people in Legendary, are using sort of a claw setup right now, and even though I'm sort of there, I'm only like half there, you know, because I'm only using 3 fingers as opposed to the 6 that a lot of the pros are doing. So I do want to try to get used to that, but I've tried setting it up like that recently, and it's just really difficult to get acclimated to, especially when I'm used to, you know, playing in the way that I've played other first-person shooter games on mobile for a while now. So I'm hoping, ideally, that, you know, I can get used to that over time and just force myself to get better with it, because I think that's going to be, or at least it probably is going to end up the best way to play this, other than keyboard mouse, which again, you know, that kind of is borderline cheating and it's going to put you in a different queue altogether. But that again is another argument, another thing that we can talk about on another day. But yeah, I will say that I feel like I'm progressing, I feel like I'm improving, but is it enough to get Legendary right now? Definitely not. I am not even close to progressing fast enough to get Legendary, and I'm not progressing fast enough as far as just winning matches is concerned, and my skill level in general, to expect to even get close to Legendary at this point in time. But I am improving, So hopefully I can realistically get there. So yeah, let me know if you're heading towards legendary and multiplayer, and what is your rank right now? What is the best thing that you've done to improve your win rate so far? Again, I feel like I can probably improve pretty significantly at this point because I just have a lot of obvious things I can change. Again, my grip on the iPad, on my tablet is definitely a huge thing. And on top of that, I feel like I can just improve at the game in general, you know, make my muscle memory better, make it so, you know, I more consistently know exactly where I need to move my finger on the screen to be able to aim exactly on somebody, you know, that's a certain distance away in certain scopes. And again, obviously, a major goal of mine is to get better with sniping because I am not good at sniping. It's so bad, guys, that I don't even want to record gameplay of it because I know that it's just going to be ridiculously embarrassingly bad. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below, what are you currently using your loadout? What rank are you right now? What's your favorite weapon and loadout in the entire game at this point? And what's your goal? Do you want to get to legendary? Or are you just hoping to get as high as possible? Like, I'm curious where you guys are all at right now, everybody that's watching this, and do you think you realistically can get legendary by the end of the season? Again, we have a little bit over 7 weeks, I believe, just over that. So yeah, we do have quite a bit of time left to go ahead and hit legendary, obviously just about 2 months, and that's a pretty decent amount of time to work with. But it's gonna continually get harder and harder to rank up as people over time get better and better at the game. So you kind of have to be ahead of the curve. And a lot of these people are just really, really good at the game because they've spent a lot of time on it already since it was in beta for so long. So yeah, those are my thoughts. All in all, definitely some good progress, but definitely a lot more to make. Again, I will see you guys very, very soon for the next one. Let me know down in the comments section below if you have any ideas for future COD Mobile videos you'd like to see on the channel. Shout out to ASD for giving me the idea for this series. I really do appreciate it, man. He was on the Discord server and he just kind of shouted out this idea and was like, oh my God, this is a great idea for a video series. So major shout out to him. I really appreciate it, man. And I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, peace.